A much different weather pattern is coming to the United States in early July, but before then, we're going to be seeing severe weather with a cooler weather pattern, and then we're going to see a major heat wave return as we get into the second week of July. We're going to be talking about that and looking at your tropical weather update in this video. If you are new here and not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing down below. We do daily weather breakdowns here on the channel. Give it a like, a thumbs up, especially if you enjoy the forecast video, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. We have a marginal risk of severe weather here where isolated severe thunderstorms are possible from parts of the mid-Atlantic down here into the Ohio Valley, back into the mid-Mississippi Valley and Southern Plains, also a couple rogue areas into Oregon, Northern California, southeastern Arizona, and southwestern New Mexico with some monsoonal moisture that could produce some stronger storms as well. By far, the main risk of severe weather today will be for damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour across the brown shaded color, so big cities like Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Detroit, Chicago, down to St. Louis, all the way back into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Little Rock, Memphis. You guys are all included. And then some of the northeast cities like Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, and Trenton. You guys are included as well. And then the hail threat is most confined into the southern plains, where we have a little bit of some cooler air aloft down here in Oklahoma and northwest Texas. So from Wichita Falls to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Fayetteville, Arkansas, that's where we have the threat for some quarter-size hail. Warmer temperatures aloft and at the surface will limit hail growth across the central and eastern U.S. as a whole. And the tornado threat today is less than 2%. So we're mainly looking at gusty winds and mainly a hail threat, but I do think the tornado threat is very low. Looking here first at the southern plains vicinity, very quiet here at noon, and we are going to continue to see the quiet weather until about mid-afternoon, about 3-4 o'clock. That's where we're going to start to see storms fire here in southern and central Oklahoma, back into northwest Texas. These storms are not going to be moving very quickly at all, and actually as they do start to grow upscale, they are going to push southward as the cold air aloft will push them into the Red River Valley vicinity. These are going to be capable, though, of producing some damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour, some quarter-size hail, in addition to a lot of lightning and some very heavy and torrential rainfall, so some localized flooding will be possible with this. This may approach the northern side of the Dallas-Fort Worth area by the late evening hours between 9 and 11 o'clock, so be mindful of that. And it looks like it falls apart right over the metroplex there and washes out. Now looking here at the rainfall totals, we could be seeing rainfall of about 2 to 3 inches where this heavier band sets up. It's going to be moving very slowly from north to south from central and southern Oklahoma into north Texas there, and again, it's not going to be going into anywhere south of Dallas, so it's going to stop right over the city there. Here into the Ohio Valley, we got some pop-up shower storms here at the noon hour. A couple of them around Detroit, down here into Ohio and northeastern Indiana near Fort Wayne. A couple of them back toward Kansas City there and Springfield, Missouri as well. So we go to the afternoon, we're just going to see pop-up showers and storms. Not really any particular organized area really of showers and storms. We're just going to see them pop up anywhere we do here in the Ohio Valley. If you get under one of those, consider yourself lucky. It's been pretty dry up here, so some locally heavy rainfall will be welcomed. But we are going to be seeing the threat for some gusty winds, up to 65 miles per hour, a very low hail threat. Tornadoes appear unlikely this afternoon and this evening. As soon as the sun sets, we're going to see the storms, a lot of those start to weaken. A mesoscale convective vortex. This is kind of like a mini low pressure system on the mesoscale that could propagate some thunderstorms closer to the Mississippi River overnight tonight. So Memphis up there to Paducah and Carbondale, even into the Bowling Green area and Clarksville, Tennessee. There could be some stronger storms with some heavier rainfall and some gustier winds as we go into early Tuesday morning. Further to the east in the mid-Atlantic, here's the noon hour, pretty quiet. As we go to the afternoon too, again, we're going to be seeing maybe a cluster of showers and storms moving across central and eastern Pennsylvania, including the Poconos, up there into central portions of New York State, and that will continue into the evening hours. Those will push into western Massachusetts and Connecticut, even into New Jersey and Long Island as we go into the midnight hour, including New York City there. And looking at the rainfall amounts in the east, you can see from the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic and northeast, there will be pockets that see little to no rain. There will be other areas, though, that see over an inch or two of rain. So consider yourself lucky, again, if you get under one of those downpours because it's been so dry as of recent. Going into tomorrow on Tuesday, July 1st, starting in the new month with a slight risk of severe weather there in New Jersey into southeastern Pennsylvania, including the Poconos, down into Maryland and northern Virginia. That's where scattered severe thunderstorms will be possible. In the dark green, all the way up here into Maine and down into South Carolina there. That's where we have isolated severe thunderstorms possible. Big cities in the mix: Boston, Hartford, Concord, all the way down into New York City and Albany, all the way back here into the Raleigh area, Richmond, Roanoke, and even into Charleston, West Virginia. Be keeping an eye on that for Tuesday. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour will be the primary threat there, especially from the Trenton area, New Jersey, down into Dover and into the Washington, D.C. vicinity, Philly and Baltimore, and even into Northern Virginia. The hail threat is low. Again, the heat will limit the hail growth, and the tornado threat is also low as well, less than 2%. So mainly looking at a gusty, damaging wind threat. Lots of storm energy here. Instability over 2,000 joules per kilogram tomorrow afternoon in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. And that will start to feed into those storms as we go into the morning hours. Morning, we're going to start to see showers and storms back here into Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, perhaps into eastern Tennessee, including the Smoky Mountains vicinity there. And then as we go into the mid-morning, late morning, we're going to start to see storms growing in intensity and coverage across the Pittsburgh region, into Parkersburg, down there into Charleston. And then going into the mid and late afternoon, those storms will be in peak daytime heating, moving across Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, Trenton, all the way up into New York City, Hartford, and even into the Albany region. We'll be keeping a very close eye on those storms. Damaging winds will be the primary threat, followed by some hail and a low tornado risk. In addition to some locally heavy downpours, could be seeing some areas of over 2 inches of rain, including New York City, Trenton, Dover, all the way down into Washington, D.C. So be keeping an eye on that for some localized flash flooding threats, especially in the poor drainage areas. Low-lying ditch and low-lying farm fields out there could actually get flooded out pretty easily. By the middle of this week, on Wednesday, July 2nd, actually a respite from the severe weather. In the light green, that's just a level 0 out of 5. That's just a normal thunderstorm, kind of your garden variety storms as we go through the middle of the week. Here we go on Wednesday morning, couple storms in the southeast, but the monsoonal flow will be alive and prevalent across the Rockies and the desert southwest. Peak heating of the day, you can see those pop-up storms, and then as soon as the sun sets, we're going to start to see those dwindle. Maybe a couple storms in the southeast on Wednesday, but nothing should be severe. Looking here at the longer range, as we get closer to the 4th of July holiday, we are going to start to see more disturbances rounding the ridge from the Pacific Northwest into the southern Canadian prairies and northern plains, and then eventually into the Great Lakes and Northeast as we go into the 4th of July. We got one disturbance there, July 4th across the Dakotas we'll watch, and then as we go into July 5th, that could propagate some storms into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, and then July 6th, early next week into Sunday and Monday, July 7th as well. We're going to be seeing those storms moving across southeastern Canada and northeast United States. So here we go, Thursday morning, July 3rd. Could have some stronger storms potentially developing across portions of West Texas up there with the monsoonal flow, mainly some gusty winds with those. Microbursts are possible. Those are those microbursts that, you see the winds with the collapsing storm, they go in all directions. That is possible. Then as we go on to Friday, July 4th, the disturbance could bring some isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms across the Dakotas, down into Nebraska and western Minnesota. Going into Saturday, cold front will bring some scattered severe storms from Wisconsin into eastern Iowa and northwestern portions of Illinois. And then going into Sunday, the cold front will move a little bit further south, so we're talking more of eastern Kansas, Missouri, downstate Illinois, and Indiana for some storms. A lot of that will be up here into Montreal and like Thunder Bay and those areas, into portions of eastern of Canada. And then as we go into Monday, July 7th, early next week, and Tuesday, July 8th, just seeing a couple rounds of some severe weather. Maybe a bigger complex of storms develops early next week. These could be a derecho potentially. The pattern could be favorable for one of those. We'll keep an eye on that. A derecho is a fast-moving line of storms with widespread wind damage, hail, and tornadoes embedded. Again, that's not a guarantee, but a pattern that is favorable for that early next week. Let's look at the ridge here. Pretty flattened out as we go into today here to end the month of June. And as we go into early July, we're going to see it amplify a little bit, which means the heat will come back across the Mississippi Valley. Here are your highs today, by the way. A little bit of a respite from the heat up there in the upper Midwest. Twin Cities, for example, in the mid-70s this afternoon. In contrast, it is at 116 record high temperature in Phoenix this afternoon. Widespread 110 to 120 degree heat in the desert southwest, including Southern California, Southern Nevada, most of central and southern Arizona, and up into southern Utah as we go into the afternoon. And looking here at that Phoenix, again, tomorrow, 113. You got some 90s out here in the plains. And then going into Wednesday, notice the 90s start to build across the plains again. And then Thursday and Friday, and especially for Friday, July 4th, that's where we're going to see the heat building building for Des Moines into portions of Omaha, Kansas City, Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis. You guys are going to be back into the 90s, and then the heat index will be well over 100. Again, the evapotranspiration of the corn crops, sweating off a lot of that moisture, is actually going to be feeding into those dew points out there, making it more muggy. And then another cold front comes through that weekend, and that will bring more 70s to the upper Midwest, like the Minnesota, northern Iowa, and Wisconsin into Michigan. By the time we get to Sunday, July 6th, and overnight lows, yes, record warm lows in Phoenix tonight. We're up to 116 during the day today, but we're at 91 for a low tonight. And then as we go into tomorrow, still at 90 here pretty much in the Phoenix region. Nice reprieve from the excessive heat at night. Some relief with lows in the mid 60s and low 60s out there the next couple mornings. But here come the 70s, maybe some record warm lows into the upper Midwest and the mid-Missouri Valley as we get closer to the 4th of July and the 5th of July timeframe, until the cold front brings some 50s and some relief in the mornings to the northern plains vicinity, upper Midwest, by the time we get to early next week. Let's talk about the tropics here. We are looking at a tropical storm in the East Pacific named Flossie, and that is continuing to move to the northwest at 10 miles per hour. It is a strong tropical storm at 60 miles per hour right now. It is expected to become a hurricane as soon as tomorrow morning by 6 a.m. There are tropical storm watches that remain in effect, also tropical storm warnings for the southwest coastline of Mexico. This is generally going to become a Cat 1 or Cat 2 hurricane as it moves through portions of the East Pacific just along the coastline there of Mexico. Over the next couple of days, the hurricane force winds should remain offshore, but the tropical storm force winds and activity will be right next to the shore there. This will become a tropical storm again by Thursday morning as it moves closer to the Baja. It is going to be encountering some cooler waters by the 4th of July holiday weekend. So that means the tropical depression status will come back with that system. So let's look at it here, and you can see pretty formidable tropical storm right now. The hurricane force winds are very small area off the coast, but the tropical storm force bands that are producing those winds and the rainfall out there, rip current risk and rough surf, will continue as we go through the evening into the overnight. And watch as we go toward the 4th of July. It's really going to start to get smaller, smaller, and smaller as it moves up there toward the Baja of California. Very heavy rainfall, though, across Mexico. We have another system that is post-tropical now, which is Barry, that was in the southwest Gulf yesterday. That is in conjunction with Flossie going to bring a lot of rainfall to Mexico. And I know a lot of people down here probably won't be too complaining about that. With a lot of dry weather in Mexico lately, it looks like we're going to have a lot of rain. Unfortunately, with the rain, a lot of hilly terrain, mountainous terrain down here in Mexico, that could cause a lot of runoff, and unfortunately, a lot of flash flooding could result in that. So watching out for that. Could have several inches of rain. On the Atlantic side, we are watching something as well. Obviously, post-tropical system Barry over the eastern portions of Mexico. I have a low 20 to 30% chance, the National Hurricane Center does, across the panhandle there of Florida into central Florida and then off the Carolina and Georgia coast. That's something we're watching as a system could develop over there over the next few days. Nothing really worrisome from this. I think if anything, it'll be a rain system. Not really worried about, any big hurricane or anything like that for Florida, but just some rain there as we go to the next few days. That is something we're keeping an eye on. Also, another thing keeping an eye on and interesting is the Saharan dust from Africa actually crossing the Atlantic Basin, and the big plume of that is actually going to be moving into the MDR, the main development region, by the time we get to Wednesday, July 2nd, entering into the Greater Antilles by the time we get in towards the 4th of July weekend time frame, and a big chunk of that could move over the Yucatan by the middle of next week, by Wednesday, July 9th, and enter into Texas by Thursday, July 10th, or Friday, July 11th. So something to keep an eye on there if you live in Houston, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Texas, Brownsville, along the coastline there of Texas. Some smoke and some dust may actually start to move over that region. Finally, let's look here at your fire weather risk for today. Elevated there across eastern Nevada. Dry thunderstorm risks are isolated there from Oregon into northern California. That could ignite some new wildfires as well. Going into tomorrow, we see more of the same. Eastern and central Nevada, elevated fire weather concerns. In the brown, those are dry thunderstorms, again, that could spark new fires from central Utah back again into Oregon and northern California. Wednesday, same deal. Elevated fire weather there in the Pacific Northwest from southeastern Washington state into northeastern southeastern Oregon. Dry thunderstorm risk there from eastern Idaho and western Wyoming down there to the south into Utah and eastern Nevada. Thursday, we get a respite from that. And then Friday, July 4th, be watching out for any outdoor festivities like fireworks or campfires, controlled burns, elevated fire weather concerns there from western and central Nevada into southeastern Nevada and southwestern portions of Utah. So just be mindful of that. Any any controlled burning or campfires, fireworks that ignite fires could spread very quickly in this environment as we go into July 4th and throughout the week. Thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel for the latest breakdowns, accurate, reliable weather information here. We do it all every day, right? This is a daily weather forecast channel. Like the video, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with a friend, family member on social media. I definitely appreciate all your support. And leave any comments, questions, and concerns down below in the comment section down below the video. We are 24/7 all day, all night to answer any and all questions, comments, and concerns that you may have. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful rest of your Monday out there.